everyone. My name is Tess Hernandez-Cano, and I am the seed that ended up sprouting beautiful flowers like Angie Delator, Laura Longoria, Andrew Cervantes, all our volunteers, Iris Zaanda, and her duet. I'm surprised that dear Annette is not here from our two poets from Sereno. I'm very happy to see Las Lunas and to hear you ladies. I'm very proud. First of all, take another step back. I'm a lifelong, pretty much resident of El Sereno. I started my altar I started my altar by myself, and before I knew it, it exploded. Angie and Andrew had the vision to make it happen. Laura does these beautiful graphics, and it's just gone forward. I'm very, very, very proud to introduce a friend that I met in a writing group, and I'd like everybody's attention, please. Could you please sit down, please? Thank you. I understand, but this is the last stand. Okay? Thank you. I'm very proud to introduce a friend of mine. Her name is Poesia. I'm so sorry, Pat. She has several short stories published in Poesia and Penn Center Journal. She has been anthologized in Hers 2 and 3, the Los Angeles Gay and Lesbian Latino Arts Anthology, 1988 through 2000, A Geography of Rage, the Afro-Hispanic Review, and Love in West Hollywood. She's written 2 one-act plays. Ghost in the Spirit was produced as a stage reading in 1997. Love and Fire was produced as a stage reading by the Macha Theater in 2003. Her one-woman performance, Tina Gets Married, was produced in 1999. I'm thrilled to introduce you all to my friend and just awesome woman, Pat Alderete.
It's been a real honor to be on the same stage with everybody that's read tonight. You know, the quality of the artistic community is a gift that we give each other. So thank you for staying here. It's been a long night. It's done. Thank you. Into the mic. Do I need the mic? Yeah. Okay. This is a condensed version of Tina Gets Married. Cuca's House of Beauty was a tiny shack just off Whittier Boulevard, the main shopping district in East Los Angeles. Cuca Buenota was a burly, light-skinned woman who personally had tried every concoction she sold. She had at least 3 kinds of blush sweeping up her cheeks, and a shade of red resembling dead carnation was slathered on her large, well-used lips. Cuca was proud of her collection of false eyelashes and considered herself a chola home depot. She had stacks of glass shelves loaded with hundreds of models. As Tina and I entered the store, Cuca looked at her and asked, "Where you been? Haven't seen you for a while." Tina answered, "I've been real busy. I'm getting married next Saturday." "Ay, mija, pues how wonderful. Who's the lucky guy?" "His name is Rudy," Tina answered. Cuca shook her head, not a hair falling out of place. "Too bad I work weekends or else I'd come to your wedding." "Why don't you come to the reception?" "I'd love to. ¿Dónde?" "At Rusty's Hacienda in Pico Rivera." It was an excellent choice. It wasn't so far that friends and family would have a hard time getting there, but it was distant enough that rival neighborhoods would be discouraged from traveling to it. Best of all, we didn't have any pedo with the barrios in Pico Rivera. Cuca looked happy. "Great, I'll be there. Come on and look at these eyelashes, mija. I just got them. Check out this new model. It's called Flight of the Condor." Looking at me suspiciously, suspiciously, she said, "You fool, you just hanging around again, or you gonna buy something?" I tried to sound casual. "Gotta get something. I'm Tina's maid of honor." "Ah, so you're the madrina. Well, why don't you look at the starter kits?" I was embarrassed, but Tina interrupted with, "Hey, Pata, what do you think about these? Aren't they beautiful?" Tina pointed to a pair that looked like a couple of handheld brooms. "Shit, they'll cover your face," I said. "Aw, you really think they're too much? A wedding's a big deal, you know." Tina would get whatever she wanted, so I just smiled and kept looking at the smallest available sets. Finding a pair that was smaller than twin tarantulas was a challenge, but when I did, I pointed them out to Puka. "Ah, those minis. The right choice for you," Puka screwed. Taking my wallet out of my back pocket, I forked over the money. Puka cocked her head. "How come you don't wear a purse?" Tina laughed hard and answered, "Shit, Puka, I still can't believe Papa's gonna wear a dress at my wedding." Tina looked at me and smiled, and I could see the little girl again, the one who'd understood how much I hated dresses and dolls. The big day arrived, and I spent the morning getting ready. I was cranky from having spent the day at the hairdresser's. I wasn't used to having my hair pulled and yanked without being in a fight. Standing in front of the bathroom mirror, I pulled out the makeup and tried to remember which corner of my eye to begin with a pinchy false eyelash. Looking in the mirror, it seemed that my eyes weren't level with each other, but I figured, nobody's going to pay attention to that. Looking at the dress, it reminded me of the movie Gone with the Wind. It was ruffled and layered from the waist down and held in a flared position by a kind of hula hoop contraption. The body was 2 strips of chiffon that crossed my chichis like some kind of sex-crazed maniaco. My mother picked it up and said, "Here, Mika, let me help you." I shook my head morosely at my reflection in the mirror, not quite believing what I was seeing. My hair in ringlets, blush swooping up my cheeks, and eyelashes that looked like claws. I was ready to cry, and I hadn't even looked below my neck. Putting her hands on my shoulders, my mom said, "Ay, Mika, you look so pretty in a dress." "Yeah, well, don't get used to it," I said. "You must really love Tina to be doing all this." "I can't believe she's getting married, Mama." "Well, her time has come, Mika, like it will for you." I sighed deeply. "What's the matter, Mika? Are you scared you're going to lose Tina?" "What do you mean, Mama? She's not moving far, and me and Rudy get along real good." My mom said, "Mika, it's not going to be the same." Ready at last, we made our way to Soledad Church in the heart of the Maravilla section. Its bell had been destroyed a few years earlier in the Selmar earthquake of 1971. Otherwise, it would have been pealing loud and bright. I huddled with the other bridesmaids outside the church and changed from my hush puppies to my dressing shoes. Paula advised, "Pata, you should practice walking in those shoes before you go in front of everyone." At 20, Paula was the oldest, and the rest of us thought she knew the answer to the universe. Paula, like the rest of the bridesmaids, wore a dress similar to mine, except it was red instead of pink. I walked a few steps in my new shoes, and I felt like I was trying to balance on a pair of knives. The sound of the wedding march made us all jump to start the procession. Tina's niece, Denise, was the flower girl, and she was all happy throwing petals in people's faces. The guys had rented their caca-colored tuxedos, and some didn't fit too good. I could see that Moto's pants were all high waters, and I could see he felt as stupid as I did. At least I didn't have to wear a fluffy shirt. Nervous Nervously, I tried to remember the beat, silently cursing myself for having been high at rehearsal. Her white dress rustling, Tina looked beautiful on her father's arm. Ernie had tears in his eyes as he gave Rudy his daughter's hand. I felt sorry for Ernie because his tears made him stumble, and I could hear Tina's mother say, "Pendejo." Tina was glowing behind her veil, but I couldn't tell if it was pride or panic. The priest made the sign of the cross, and everything went smoothly until the velvet lasso was placed over Tina and Rudy. Tina burst into tears and buried her head in my shoulders. Papa, she sobbed, I can't believe I'm getting married. Rudy looked helplessly, patting Tina on the arm. Knowing it would comfort Tina, I said, "It's okay, stupid ape." Breaking into a smile, Tina asked, "Hi, is my mascara messed up?" I wanted to tell her a blowtorch wouldn't have messed up her. I just told her she looked great. We smiled at each other for a long moment. The ceremony finished and they were pronounced husband and wife. The audience in the church burst into applause and we marched down the aisle like victorious boxers, cheers in hands reaching out to touch us. That night, the reception was a wild success. The band, Tito y los Cochinos, were great. After the crowd drank a while, they opened the microphone and anyone could get up and sing. Tito looked over the crowd and said, "All right, who's gonna sing?" When nobody answered, he said, "Órale, what kind of Mexicanos can go to a wedding and not sing?" Cuca Buenota, looking like a well-fed leopard in her spotted dress, climbed the stage and grabbed the microphone. Hitching her dress up and swishing it about, she pushed her bangs out of her eyes and did her best to belt out Mi Última Paranda, a song dedicated to the pleasures of drinking. Cuca was a smart lady. By the time she got off the stage, 10 men were ready to buy her drinks. The moment came for Tina to throw her bouquet, and I was bound and determined to catch it. Not from superstition, I mean, shit, I didn't want to get married. But because it seemed only right because me and Tina were so close, closer than anybody else. Because Tina was going to have her back to us, she told me earlier that she was going to throw it as hard as she could. I knew how strong she was, so I went all the way to the back of the crowd. Peachy Tina, she threw it with all her might, but she could never throw worth shit. The bouquet went straight up, hit the ceiling, and fell down right behind her. I dove like an Olympic medalist straight into the pack for that peachy bouquet. Coming up for air, I saw it was in my hand. Jumping up and down, I waved it over my head, screaming, "I got it! I got it!" Hearing gasps of horror from the girls, I felt no pity for their jealousy. But I wondered why all the guys were staring at me instead of the bouquet. Looking down, I saw my bra, chonies, and the hoop waving lazily about me. The dress was in a heap on the floor. "Ay Dios!" I yelled to the girls. "Get around me! Get around me! Let's put the hand!" The girls encircled me and we hustled off to the restroom. "Ay, how embarrassing!" I said. "Had to be you, huh, Pata?" Paula said. "Well, how was I to know that peachy dress would snap apart so easy?" "It wasn't so easily," Paula said. "Shit, you were rolling around, jumping and diving. Dresses don't do that." "No wonder I hate them," I said. Paula pulled the dress up around me and pushed the snap back together. I looked into the mirror and noticed that the dress wasn't quite as pink as before, and I felt a little better. The night was young, and we went out again. I sat at one of the long tables, drinking a rum and coke and talking with Memo. He was a few years older than me, old enough to be a veterano. We got along real good and we enjoyed talking to each other. Memo smiled at me a long moment and said, "I really enjoyed you getting the bouquet, Patan." Blushing, I responded, I've never been so embarrassed in all my life. Ah, it's about time we got a look at you, he said. Taking a closer look at my face, he said, you know, your eyes look a little funny. Did something happen? Before I could answer, a blur of white rolled past our legs. What the hell was that? It was Tina in her beautiful white wedding dress, rolling on the floor with some girl I'd never seen before. Tina was punching her and yelling, what the hell's the matter with you? But the girl jumped up, running to the door, screaming, I was only trying to help. Tina got up and adjusted the crown of her veil. I thought she was going to mess with me. Huh? Rudy came and put his arm around her and kissed her gently. What happened? I asked. You didn't see her? Out of the clear blue sky, she came over and started slapping me on the back, talking some shit about a tarantula climbing me. Looking at me a moment, Tina said, hey, what happened to your other eyelash? Turning Tina around, I peeled my false eyelash off her dress. Feeling my face get hot, I dangled it and said, maybe she was talking about this. Pinchi, Fanta, Tina said, throwing her arms around me and hugging me hard. I stayed in her embrace, knowing this friendship could never end. Thank you.